Thanks for tuning back in. We're going to talk about acquisition on today's episode of the Roundtable. Acquisitions are prevalent in any industry, and with it comes a lot of tasks to onboard. And how you onboard is also up for discussion. Are they going to inherit your brand? Maybe you're going to take their likeness. Or whose systems are you going to use? How are you going to secure it? Data transformation, systems, ERP. So we're going to dive into this. Don't go anywhere. Tom, welcome back.
Tony, good to be here, buddy.
Yeah.
Always fun.
A little more one-on-one conversation. We don't have many of these in the roundtable, but as we were sitting around thinking about, client workloads and some of the challenges companies go through, acquisitions.
Oh, yeah. Acquisitions, big deal. Highly disruptive.
They are.
But to answer your question, you asked a lot of questions in that intro, and I just want to tell you the answer is really easy. Whoever's money it was, that's what you're going to use.
Yeah.
You'll use their brand and you'll use their systems.
Yeah. It's funny because I've been a part of acquisitions where I'm kind of low man on the totem pole.
Oh, yeah.
And so you find about it after the fact. And even when you're kind of at the table, you don't get all the information. There's always this surprise, and IT leaders on the call or tuning in here can relate to this. Great, got this company acquired. The announcement goes out. That's been reviewed and rehearsed 80 billion times, and finally is for company consumption. And then it's time to onboard, and you find out the budget's already been set. And what do you know? IT expenses are always a surprise. What do you mean it's going to be $100,000 to create, this network infrastructure environment and secure? Well, what do you mean? And I'd love to return it with a similar, what do you mean? We weren't part of the conversation, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. But the larger point is that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it requires a strategy. I mean, do you remember when you and I developed, when you said, hey, we're going on an acquisition path? Tony and I used to work together. He was a client. I was a ERP partner, and we designed that global strategy because you can't have, hey, we bought a company, and you not have a plan to onboard seamlessly as quickly as you can with very limited information in advance.
Yeah, that's right. So, you think of Playbooks. What was the acquisition playbook? Turns out, in the example you provided, we didn't have one. People have done acquisitions before, but it was never memorialized. There wasn't process. So it very much felt like shooting from the hip.
Well, and as you say, and I was at least 5 steps further removed than you, right? I'm allowed to tell you there will be an acquisition. Great, Tony. When? I'm not allowed to tell you that. Great. What country's it in? I can't tell you. If you tell me, I can at least try to get a database ready, Tony. I don't know. I'll get back to you. Right? It's that kind of conversation because you're not allowed to tell. They may not even told you. But how do you get all your partners lined up? How do you get that network in place so that when it's go time, everybody knows what we're executing against?
Yeah. And so, having back to the whole trust element with your superiors and the C-suite, if you're not part of that C-suite, the reality conversation does come fast because it's not just, of course you're integrating a business. There's a lot of things that go into that, but the technology elements of an acquisition these days, that has become much larger than just 5 years ago.
It's everything. We're doing a rebuild right now. You walk through it. It's all your office tools, whatever you're using for email. It's all your phones.
Yeah.
It's your ERP system. If you've got a separate manufacturing execution system, or maybe it's built into the ERP, sometimes there's a built-in scheduling system. Sometimes there's not. keep going right down the line, right? All these systems have to get integrated, thought about, and we got to continue to conduct business on day 2.
Yeah, exactly. And one trap you want to be mindful of is, well, I love 5 elements from our current system and 3 elements from that system, thinking that there's some homogeneous end game. That doesn't always go so well. So if you think about a playbook, at least in conversation, you mentioned the systems.
Yep.
Office suite. Are you Google Enterprise or are you Microsoft 365? Yeah, that matters.
Right.
ERP system, of course. So sidebar question, are you a fan of single tenant ERPs for, say, a global company? Or because I always would debate this with a CFO of mine. It's like, it's possible and successful for a company who's acquiring others that these systems remain independent islands.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if that, at least from a data side or reporting, I don't think that plays anymore.
Man, I always hate to say it depends, but I think it depends, Tony. Like, what is your long-term strategy? Are you a buy and hold forever? Do you ever divest? These are all things we got to consider when we're mapping out that strategy. What's your appetite? What's your general approach? Because we might design it different. There is some, in a SaaS environment, I think it is easier to have independent tenants set up and integrate them than it might have previously been to run independent servers or instances of a system and integrate that data.
Fair.
Not without complication. A single database is always my preference, unless for some reason that's unwieldy due to size, location, latency, whatever.
Yeah, it can be localizations that complicate it when you think of different countries, for sure. Yeah. Just coming from the portfolio I came from, one of the operating companies, their business model was having independent, disconnected, different systems, different companies. And some ran Epicor, some ran Business Central, some ran Nav, and it was, but, whenever I would challenge it or just talk to my counterpart there, he's like, look, are they completely independent islands they are, but they have to roll up to the same single entity,
They do, but I was just reminded as you started to describe that, and maybe it was in Snowball, but it was a story about Warren Buffett. And what he said was, look, we look for great businesses, and then we just let them run because they're great businesses. That's why we bought them. Yeah. So we're not here to try to tell them how to re-engineer their business. Now, if they come to us and ask for help on treasury management or some other aspect that they're not good at, hey, yeah, it turns out we know some things, we can help you. But we're not going to walk in and tell you to change your ERP or change your this or change your that. And the guy seems to have done okay. I
don't disagree, and that's similar to the company I was referring to. But if we go back to the IT slant of things, is it have your cake and eat it too? Like, there are synergies to be had. You can still be independent islands, but they're all following a same process as far as we're all going to use these types of firewalls. We're all going to use these. I think there are ways, and maybe you wait for them to age out. And so, do your thing, do your show, but when something ages out, here's what you're going to.
Yeah. Hey, look, I think that we say this all the time when we're talking with new clients, right? Where are you trying to go with your business? What is your strategy? And then let's talk about what is the appropriate technology to support your business strategy. And then, now we'll fill in the pieces and figure out which one of these things matters.
Sure.
And if there's no strategic reason to use X, then we're all going to use the same thing. Yeah. If there's some strategic reason you can make to use something else, Well, by all means, we're going to entertain the argument, see what decision we make from a business perspective.
There are some gimmies here. You think about help desk, telecom, even internet provider, internet carriers.
Look, scale's why people do
Supplies.
acquisitions.
Exactly.
Right? I don't need a CFO at every location. I might need a controller at every location, but I don't need a CFO.
Yeah.
And fill in the blank all the way down the line. And, if you start thinking about AP people, these are all reasons to acquire. I want to try to streamline my...
The trap I got lured into was, these companies are going to run independent, and I'm talking about my prior career. They're going to run independent, and they're going to make their local decisions. We're here to advise. We're here to guide.
Yeah.
It's great in theory.
Yep.
Until, why are we paying for this, and this when we could save 30% by doing this?
Right.
And, inevitably, all the conversations go there. So wherever your C-suite lands, I would, as part of the playbook, have these types of things noted.
That's right.
With a why behind it.
The why, So that's sort of what is the business impact of whatever decision we're making? BYO, fill in the blank.
Right.
Or corporate standard, and here's what we're issuing. There should be a reason, and there should likely be a tangible dollar reason as to why we supported that.
One example that might also, again, resonate, we're sharing stories here. The one company was in Finland, and they had a local support group that they used. Now, this was a 2-man army, 3-man army. And this was a significant client for this person. So when they called or said jump, he said how high. So it was that local personalized approach. A lot of shortcuts went into this. See, now you're part of this larger conglomerate where you're going to get audited. You're going to be put through the security hardening exercise, and you just can't get.
Look, it just doesn't scale.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Things that made you successful, and I think this is an important thing if you're an acquirer, that to acknowledge, right, that if these smallish companies that you're rolling up, you don't expect that they have systems, because they probably don't. Yeah. Or if they do, they're underdeveloped, right? Unless you're in a highly regulated industry that forced them to do that right out of the chute. Nobody does it. Entrepreneurs don't operate that way unless they're engineers.
Yeah.
They just don't.
And I feel like people, no matter where they're located, can handle the truth. What they don't like is being lied to. Right. So in this particular example, they heard the same old story. Like, look, we acquired you for a reason. You're a successful business. Just keep doing what you're doing. Right. And the former owners were asking the same question of us as the acquirer. I just don't want this company to land with something that's going to be a big disruption. Yeah. They heard everything they wanted to hear. And the team knew damn well that was not going to be the reality. So as we start to implement some of the systems and hardware, you get cornered from time to time. You said, so then it's like, look, everybody has their guardrails of what they can or can't say. But what I found is that when people started feeling like they were having a reality conversation, it was a nice reset button moment. So the takeaway for me is, you want to be as truthful as you can, but you want to be upfront. Is this system going to change? Yep, it is. It's going to change. It's not going to change for a period of time, but change is coming. Now, I guess the counter argument to that is, well, we don't want to cause a mass exodus. I mean, this is retained talent. We need them.
Yeah.
We need them to be part of the team. I get that too. But back to this, this comes up. We're in the people business. We just happen to do IT.
Right. Well, it's change management, right? So as you said, I think there is a way, most people are grown-ups, to say, look, we're not coming in to try to disrupt anything. As you say, we're buying a successful business. Something made you successful. However, you should anticipate some level of change. I can't sitting here today tell you what's going to change. I'm not even intimately familiar with all of your systems right now. Some will likely change. What are they? I don't know. We're going to try to minimize that. We will manage through the change. We'll make sure the users are well educated, and we'll do everything we can to minimize disruption.
And you'll be part of the conversation.
You will absolutely. We're going to call you at home. We're going to let you know how it's going.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't mean to laugh, because when I'm on the acquiree end, that sucks. You talk about an air of uncertainty.
Right.
Yeah.
Am I even going to work here?
Right.
Right. Hey, there's somebody over there that has my same title. Huh.
So, yeah. Well, have you seen the movie Hoffa?
Oh, yeah.
So I think about Jimmy Hoffa's style when he took over and became president of the Teamsters Union.
Oh, yeah.
During his acceptance speech, gives a list of names to his number 2 and says, you're going to let these guys go in the morning. He goes, because those that are left will appreciate it more. That air of uncertainty and unease, it's like Band-Aid rip, and now we're going to work together.
Here we are. This is the team. Let's go.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you're thinking about your own acquisition playbooks, the human side is important. For every one you do where something went sideways, that's what you want to capture. Remember when so-and-so lost their mind because they were not aware of da-da-da-da?
Right. That's right. And we're going to learn. An environment of continuous improvement will help us with every subsequent acquisition, because it's just like building the house. With every house you build, you make a few notes. You say, next time I'll do this different.
Yeah.
Right? Well, with every acquisition, you keep a little notebook. Next time I'm going to do this different.
Yeah.
And we just, when we know better, we do better, right?
And an IT acquisition playbook is a subset of the broader playbook. Now, I don't know if you have, not every IT leader has that relationship or that seat again. And IT will have a very...
Supposed to, though.
I agree. And this is a chance, right? This is an opportunity to broaden out the conversation. Because if you don't have a buttoned-up, reviewed playbook, acquisition playbook, now's the time. Now's an opportunity.
That's right. And across every department, right? As CIOs, we focus on the IT stuff because that's our role and that's how we support the organization. Yeah. But there should be a playbook for every department.
And every department has an IT slant these days.
Right.
Back to another flag we like to plant. Every company is a technology company.
It's fact.
It is. So, and you can be that conversation facilitator when you're working with these different departments.
That's right.
Yeah. So other, I'll call them vanilla elements, what's their help desk process?
Mm-hmm.
Having that local person that we referred to earlier. I mean, that can play.
Right.
But are they an honest broker? Do they subscribe to it? You gotta pick up on these things.
And you alluded to it, and actually it's in another episode you call it out specifically. But when we talk about cultural sensitivity, right? We want people to feel like they're part of the team, not like we're the Borg and they will be assimilated, right? And so, time zones, language.
Yes.
Right? Okay, can they speak English? Yeah, they can speak English. Is it their first language? No, it's not. So could we get them a support desk that maybe speaks to them in their first language? It's just a sign of respect. Costs you probably less than the English version.
Yep.
So these are little things, right? But you got to be thoughtful about it.
That's right. And whether you're Freshdesk or ConnectWise or pick your system of choice, some of these things are global in terms of
That's right.
Local partners, and this is an opportunity. Get some international experience if we're talking about an international acquisition. But even if we're not, but you want to have the local, regional considerations, and don't be dismissive of it. Because if you're dismissive of it, that shit goes downstream to the very people you're onboarding,
and you lose them.
And you lose them. No, you do.
Yeah. That's it.
I've lost them before.
Right.
I have.
Yeah.
And these are the lessons that you just learn, because you got to get punched in the face if you're going to be better. You do.
Yeah, but do I have to get hit more than once?
I know. But yeah, so help desk, telecom system, and all these things, it's like maybe there's regional representation on that support, but there's a one throat to choke element to this.
Yeah.
Because if that local resource is unable to support and answer a question, well, corporate can, because it's a system they're familiar with.
Okay, right. Well, yeah, there's probably a mashup, right? But we just want to make sure that, if I'm in the Philippines and my support's coming out of Philly,
yeah,
like, let's just make sure that when they're working, somebody's answering the phone. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So to me, Philly's the backstop. We want someone local, but with system commonality, I mean, the language barrier is still real, but even in today's AI-fueled world, simple email or some vehicle where an unanswered request locally can get to corporate is already translated, and because we're on a system that we're all familiar with, we're servicing our customers to the best of our ability.
I have some really interesting, I've seen some of the more recent tools. It's impressive to see how those translations are working these days, because it's way better than the last time I saw it, only 8-9 months ago.
Even phone call embedding tools. You're having a near real-time conversation, you're pausing for a split second for the translation.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing.
So anything else when you think about, help desk, telecom, infrastructure?
The infrastructure, you say infrastructure, but that's a big word, right? Are you doing new construction when you bought this company? Are you expanding it? Who maintains things? Did this company stay on top of their infrastructure? Is it even up to standard? Because it's the craziest thing as you move around the world, but getting cable pulled is kind of a trick sometimes.
Wow, and understanding the true nature. This is one of these things I never quite understood. It's almost like the real estate game. You can't have this tit for tat with buyers, negotiation. It's like you get one opportunity, in these onboarding, these acquisition calls, you only have so much time and only so many questions. It's kind of a bullshit process. So you're not going to know exactly what you're getting until you got
it's speed dating, Tony. Just
it is speed dating.
Bring your wallet.
It is. And I can't tell you the amount of times that you uncover shit you just, this is what due diligence said, but in reality, it was this. And the big thing, because the system side you can work around, I think, even if you only have a half-truth, it's the infrastructure, the cabling.
I understand. I mean, did you tell your wife you were cheap? You probably told your wife you were cheap, but you didn't really tell her how cheap, did you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much time to get to know each other, right? You're doing the best you can. Everybody's trying hard. You're trying to put a deal together.
Yeah.
We're going to learn things.
Yeah.
Every day you're going to learn more about the overall organization as the acquired company. Hopefully there's some net benefits. And as the acquirer, we're going to learn some idiosyncrasies, I'm going to call them, about our local operation out there. And we have to determine how much of those idiosyncrasies are we going to accept because it makes them who they are, and how much do we need to have a come-along conversation that says, hey, look, it's to the overall benefit of the organization that you adopt fill in the blank.
I hope it's a blend of both. I think it feeds the relationship.
Should be. Absolutely needs to be. We got to meet people where they are to the best of our ability.
Right.
If we do that, we get a relationship and we get a chance.
Yeah, and don't try to be a perfectionist about it. There might be something that's good enough, but it's theirs.
Right.
Why rob them of that? Why? I mean, back to I hope it's both.
Yeah, that's right.
Because then without fail, people will leave, or it's Big Brother over our shoulder.
Usually it's an ego check, right? If your ego's in the right place, you're not cramming change for the sake of change, and you can explain to any reasonable person why we're doing what we're doing. And then again, on the other side, if they've got the right ego, they're going to understand that they call it work for a reason, right? They're getting paid to be there, and we need them to come along on some of this stuff.
All right, so you you're surfacing another topic that we touch upon, and it plays here, and that is support from the top.
Yeah.
So some of the things you're talking about, if someone smells blood in the water and knows who they can go to get the answer they want, not the answer you're giving them, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So does the C-suite have your back?
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
they better. I mean, what are you going to do?
It's not fun when they don't. And you hope the answer is, well, have you voiced this with Tom and shared your concern? I did. What'd he tell you? Okay. That's what we're going to, not, all right, thanks for letting me know. I'll talk to him and we'll,
Right.
All you've done is established an out, and it's lessened any respect you may have built up to that point.
That's right.
But you got to combine that with the ego check, right?
That's right.
Can't be a dick about it. You got to be a people person. We're in the people business. This acquisition shit's hard.
Oh, yeah.
The technical, we're going to install and do this, it is not rocket science. Getting people on board and user adoption, that's tough.
Especially in cultures, and this is again cultural sensitivity. But how many cultures are we familiar with where they smile and they say yes, and what they meant was no?
Yeah.
It was never going to be that price. It was never going to be on time. We haven't even started your work yet. Yes.
Man, so my first taste of China, I
didn't mention countries. I was being not polite. I was.
In some other region, I did but I think China's a fair call out because I don't fault them for this. This is just part of the culture.
It's cultural sensitivity. You are learning that in this culture, this is how they interact.
So what operating system, this back in Windows 10 days, what operating system? We all are on Windows 10. You're all on Windows 10. That's awesome. What do you have? Dell. We use Dell too. Now this is Tony getting experience here, right?
Still damp.
Yeah. Lo and behold, they all arrived at their location with the Linux operating system. It was a Frankenstein of parts. Now, once I uncovered that and we started implementing precise controls on purchasing, their costs tripled.
Yeah.
I was the enemy. It's like, we can buy the exact same machine cheaper. You're costing us our bonuses, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Jesus, what am I going to do? So the staff I had in China, I'm like, you know what? We're going to do an exercise. I'm going to fly out there next month and we're going to do a group exercise. I want you the squeakiest wheel in the organization. Have them pick. It turns out it was their purchasing person. That's whose ego got bruised. And I said, all right, fine. We'll call her Helen. And I said, Helen, I'm going to be flying in. I hear everything you're saying, and I just want to understand more.
You were seeking to understand.
I was seeking to understand. You picked the computer. I just want to be able to, we're going to review it together.
Mm-hmm. Little teamwork.
She was all on board with that because this was a genuine Dell and it's Windows 10. So I get there and we have all the leadership team around the table and we started to disassemble this. Now we can do it fast. I knew exactly where we were going to look, and sure as shit, this part, and we had the Dell corporate site up. We plug in your
serial number. Yeah.
And this one, I said, Helen, how much warranty? I just got this a month ago, 3 years.
Sweet.
Love it. So this part, 6 months left. This part, the number's filed off. Can't see it.
Dell might have done that by accident when they were assembling the machine.
I think that might be right. I didn't consider it.
Sometimes the edge of the machine is sharp.
Thank you for grounding me on this. No, another one wasn't even a Dell part. I don't know what it was. And when I look back at the paperwork, I said, it came with a Linux operating system. I said, Helen. I said, all right, so who put Windows 10 on? And my guy raises his hand. I said, well, where'd you get that image? Why just download? Where did you download it from? So anyway, even going through that exercise, if anything, it validated the point we were trying to make.
Yeah.
And because controls are a thing with the corporation I was working for, like we had to make a change.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they just looked at it like,
Right. But those are gunslinger days, right? I mean, I remember we had, so we use Quattro Pro, like I am that old, right?
Old.
And so, but Leon was like a Quattro Pro wizard, man. Leon was my partner, and we had this stuff tricked out.
Okay.
Now, did it scale? Actually, yeah, it did scale a little bit. People would show us software. We're like, watch this spreadsheet. They're like, whoa. But at some point, the cost cutting, the cheap Dell, non-Dell, knockoff machine, you go, looks like Windows. My email sent, Word opens.
Yeah.
I got an Excel spreadsheet. Do I care?
Well, there's that, but then you add the security element.
No. As the acquirer, I get it. I'm just saying that I have some compassion. Again, it's back to the why. I gotta have when I'm having the come along conversation, because it has to be had.
Yep.
I am also explaining, hey, Helen, look, I understand why you did what you did. I get it. Mm-hmm. However, I hope you understand that as now part of a larger organization, we have to have some other protocols that we take into account, such as security, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
So we're going to have to change our standards for how we certify that the machine we buy is what it says it is.
Yeah, exactly. And her hang up was, she had goals to hit, and it affected her comp. And so when we we adjusted in lieu of this information, she had a little different tune.
Yeah. So you treated her fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I mean, look, everybody comes along there, right?
We listened, flew halfway around the world, be there in person, and hear them with our own ears.
Right.
And so, sometimes you got to do that. So as, any prospective leader out there, I don't care what business you're in, 2 ears, 1 mouth.
That's right.
Use them appropriately.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, obviously there's other elements to this, but I think we hit the highlight reel. It's always a fun conversation. And, again, the human side of things is very important. Strong IT leads and tech folks, they got that part nailed down, but the art form of just leadership in general is that change management. And if you are faced with an acquisition, be thinking about that as a top priority. How am I going to communicate with our people? How am I going to keep it real? And you got to find the synergies where you can. I mean, you have to onboard this entity. But, hopefully this helps a little bit.
Great. Well, it's always good to talk with you, Tony.
You bet. Till next time.
Thanks, everybody.